Hi everyone, welcome to another OCD Recovery YouTube video. Been a little while since I've been on here, so I thought I'd come on here and do a video talking about how OCD sort of knows, and I often describe OCD like that as a sort of an observant thing, even though it's not like that, just to sort of give the idea of how it operates. And basically, think of it like this. OCD knows that when you want it not to be there, or when you want real clarity in your mind, or to make a good decision or something like that, perfectly in the moment, it knows this. So, for example, when I started doing videos years and years ago, and any forms of presentations to do with OCD, I noticed OCD try and go, what happens if you muck it up now? What happens if I just turn on anxiety, give you sensory motor sensations of an intrusive voice or sensation in your head that you then makes it so that you can't function properly? Of course it did that. Of course it came with that. Why? Because it knew that I wanted that clarity in my mind and when I'm speaking for when I'm doing the video. So that used to happen a lot initially, and it used to be something that originally I remember in the past when I used to, whenever an opportunity came up that was something like speaking in any role, in any sort of past jobs I had in the past, I would think, oh God, it's going to try and ruin this for me now. It's going to make it so difficult. So I'll just try and avoid being on camera in any way because of that. So that's what it's trying to do, because it knows that that's something that means a lot to you and you want to have clarity and you're aware of that. Now that can be subtle, where you think, I'm not even that anxious about it. I'm not even that worried about it. And it will still intrude there and enter, because it knows deep down you do not want that intrusion and that problem at that point in time. And so that's key to remember. Now, the other thing that's key here is that can enter in any such way. Maybe even a relationship. Maybe you want to connect with your partner. Maybe it's a moment of intimacy and you want to connect. Of course, it's going to interject there if you've got ROCD and you don't want those feelings to be present. If it's to do with focusing at school or university or something like that, it may be particularly trying to get into mental clarity. Whenever you're trying to study, it pulling back and then making it difficult to study, making it difficult to understand, making it difficult to comprehend, making it difficult to take in thoughts. And that's particularly seen around like watching movies, reading books. I can't take it in. I feel like I keep forgetting it. I can't remember what just happened in the film. I'll just rewind a few seconds and then play it back so that I can make sure I got it and I didn't miss a part of the film, because then I won't enjoy the film. It particularly likes to latch to those. What happens if I can't enjoy the film or enjoy the future because I forgot something or something happened that then interferes with that? And that's key. And it can do that in any way, because it's sort of, you're hyper focused on how your feelings and sensations. Maybe today, with obviously it's a very, very sad day with the Queen passing away. People may be thinking, what happens if I'm too sad and I can't work? What happens if I'm too sad and I can't communicate how I want to, or I can't study? It will take anything that's possible strong emotion, or any event that you want to enjoy or be present in, or maybe because you're thinking, I want to remember this day because it's a sad day and it's a very important day in history. It might say, well, what happens if I consume your mind with intrusive thoughts so that you remember this day as the day you still had intrusive thoughts that were causing a problem? So it will do that and interject in various forms, because that's how it operates. So it's important to be aware of that, so that then when it does happen, you've got one up on it, because you know how it operates, you know how it's functioning and what kind of ways it's trying to do that. And that took me a long time to understand. I mean, specifically when I was suffering from sensory motor OCD and fear of like a repeated word in my head, just like the word hello repeated multiple times, sort of like a machine gun intrusiveness. Those were because I wanted mental clarity and I didn't want anything to disturb it. So how this anxiety disorder operates is that if you are demanding that you have mental clarity and you don't have an issue, it's then going to turn that up and make it feel way worse and make it more intrusive. And the more you want rid of it, the more it turns up. Hence why people always come in saying, I just can't get rid of it. Give me an exposure right now to get rid of it, as they desperately chase something to eliminate the anxiety struggle that's going on in their head. And And that's key. That's why we have to understand that and move towards the worst case scenarios, to get under it, to accept the worst case scenarios, accept anxiety, accept chronic anxiety, so we're not in that continuous battle to escape the current sensation we're experiencing, because that is the battle. Now, that doesn't mean when you accept the sensation you're experiencing, it all goes away nice and comfortably. It doesn't. We're scared of it having the upper hand. We're scared of it causing a problem. Like I said with these videos, it knows, oh, I could do this, oh, I could do that. I could go in with this intrusive thought. I could go in with that sensation. I could go in with just the sensation of anxiety. That one used to get me a lot. Just like, oh, okay, what if the body just turns up the sensation of anxiety, so I just feel it all the time? And then I used to say, well, I'm not really scared of it. And it's just like, well, I'll just turn it up anyway, because I know that will make your life uncomfortable, very inconvenient. And then I thought, oh my God, that's going to be my baseline state for the rest of my life, because how can I turn it up if the brain's interjecting and turning it up on its own, which is how OCD feels. It feels like the negative thing you don't want has been hijacked and pressed against you, which is very much the sensation with, say, sensory motor, where it feels like your sensation has become an enemy that's being sort of intruded against you over and over repeatedly, like with that machine gun-like effect. So I think these are very important points to remember, principles of recovery that was so often missed for such a long time. And when I built what we do today, I wanted to really get that message across, to show people that, there's hope. You can recover. No chronic guilt, no chronic anxiety, no constant intrusive thoughts bombarding you a million times a day. I don't experience any of that, because once your perception, your beliefs change that shape your perception, then it doesn't have that impact it once did. And that's key. And that's what recovery is. Recovery is not just sort of lumping a load of uncomfortable symptoms and sensations that feel bad all day long and you're just putting on a brave face. That ain't recovery. That's just putting up with it, lumping it, as I say. And that's key to remember, because otherwise what recovery is gets lost. I feel like I've had a factory reset. I don't feel any different to how I felt prior to chronic OCD. But that took work and practice and shifts in beliefs that most people won't go through that work and practice to create that internal experience that I experience today, which is that baseline experience. Our baseline state prior to chronic OCD is a peaceful state where we normally get frustrated and angry with normal life dynamics as they play out. But internally, my baseline state is peace. And that's the state I have now. When I was suffering from OCD, I had a baseline state of chronic anxiety, chronic guilt, this sort of just whirlwind of negative emotions bouncing around from chronic guilt, chronic anxiety lingering in the background, flare-ups of anger, flare-ups of frustration, flare-ups of all these kind of sensations that we know all too well in the OCD recovery journey. And now the baseline state is without that sort of lightning-like mental internal storm, that cortisol soup that we find ourselves in, day out. Was my experience for many, many years, and what I spend most of my life now doing in changing that with people, helping people to see that does not need to be how they think they're going to be for the rest of their life, which is very easy to think that this is going to be your baseline state for the rest of your life, because you don't know anything else when you're stuck. You've been stuck like that for so long, you can't imagine that changing. You're experiencing that constantly, so you think, how can this ever change? Because it hasn't changed. It just stays locked on like it's something doing it to you, rather than the beliefs fueling the cycle. And that's so key to be aware of and to understand, because by understanding that, you realize that you have control by changing your perceptions to change your internal state. That doesn't mean you're going to be able to have complete control over feeling suddenly a burst of anger or a burst of anxiety. You're not. Life is going to have these bumps in the road as we go along. Those are going to be experienced. Those are going to happen. But we learn to navigate this, and we learn to be aware of those triggers and sensations, and they no longer have that latched on chronic effect, because we have changed our beliefs. I don't have any reason for chronic guilt to be there, because I don't have conditional self-acceptance. It's unconditional. There's no need. I don't believe in chronic guilt. I don't believe in a self-torturous, never-ending cycle. That doesn't make sense to me. So there's never chronic guilt. It doesn't serve a purpose. But I used to have it all day long. Chronic anxiety, endlessly scared of something, doesn't make sense. Nothing is to be chronically feared. It's to be understood. That doesn't mean I need to understand everything, but it means that I can see the illusion of fear, and I've seen through the other side. So I see that anything that I think is so terrifying, so frightening, is all an illusion that has been created in the mind, filtered through my belief system, which has created that illusionary smoke, which is what we see and believe. Oh my God, that's scary because I believe ... and it's always been that way, and I've always felt scared, and therefore it is. No, it's your belief system that's making that. Change the belief system and it disappears. And that's key. That was absolutely key. And that takes work, because some of those fears society believes so much around you that you've become convinced by them that it must be real too. And that's why so many humans in life are held back by these sort of mental barriers that they are convinced by the others around them are real, and that's held back the others in society as well as themselves. So it's really important to see through those illusions of fear and make those changes that will create that internal state of peace, giving you much more energy in all areas of life. Not that you need that, you can still do everything even not feeling that level of energy, but it does. It gives you so much more energy. It allows you to think more clearly. It allows you to enjoy things much more. And if I was feeling anxious again, sure, I could accept that and I could learn to live with that and still do everything. Yes, and I have, and I lived like that for years. But it's not scary to me to be anxious. It's not scary to me to feel stuck, to have the tight locked on stomach, or the head tension headache, or the sweating and the brain fog. None of this is scary to me, because I accept I'm on this planet for a short time, and I accept that it comes with difficult obstacles along the journey, and I accept that it will be bumpy at times, and I'm not guaranteed a sort of everlasting happiness like we foolishly believe that we're going to get in this world. We have to navigate this world with bumps in the road, and so constant happiness is not true. Nobody lives like that. There's going to be bumps. But that doesn't mean that my baseline state isn't calm. It is, and I'm very comfortable with a calm state. But I'm also comfortable with an anxious state. I don't like it, but I'm not trying to internally reject it if it were ever to arise in a chronic-like nature again. So that's key, because that's why it's not there in a chronic-like nature, because I'm internally willing for it to be present and me to be present with it. And so that's key, and that's the key message of today. And I wanted to come on here to give these tools that I've learned over the years, and applied them and embodied them, and how that's changed my life, so I can help change your life with OCD in the same way. And that's what we continue to try and do each day, to help as many people recover from OCD as we can. And it's being aware that the beliefs is where it's all being fueled from. Get under those beliefs, shift those beliefs, work on them gradually. Don't expect them to change overnight, and bit by bit you will recover. There is hope. You can do it. Persistence, practice, you will get there. Guys, I will see you on the next one of these videos. I'll be back on in the next couple of days, and I'll be covering another topic relating to OCD. I probably want to get into a bit more about fear of fear, as that fuels so much of the OCD cycle. So I'll probably be covering that next. So I'll see you guys very soon. Take it easy, guys.